Hey everyone. So today I'm going to be telling you guys about Robert Hansen, also known as the Butcher Baker. So Robert was born in Esterville, Iowa on February 15th, 1939. He was the firstborn to Edna and Chris Hansen, who did have two more children after. Chris was a baker, and he had his own bakery that Robert would help him out at over the years. Robert's childhood, it's said that he was shy and a bit of a loner who didn't have a great relationship with his father, saying he was very domineering. He enjoyed hunting and took a liking to archery at a young age and would use these to escape from the day-to-day. In 1957, he enlisted in the United States Army Reserve, but only served 1 year before being discharged. He committed his first crime in 1960 when he burned down a school bus garage, claiming it was revenge for being unpopular in high school. He was sentenced to 3 years but only served 20 months before being released. While he was there, he was diagnosed with manic depression and periodic schizophrenic episodes. The psychiatrist noted that he was obsessed with getting back at people he believed wronged him. He committed a few petty crimes that landed him in jail, and in 1963, he decided to move to Anchorage, Alaska. Once there, his crimes soon turned from petty theft to abductions, rapes, and murders. In December of 1971, he was arrested for abduction and attempted rape on a woman, and he also raped a sex worker. He pleaded no contest in the first one and had a plea bargain in the second one. He was sentenced to 5 years, but got out after 6 months. He was placed on work release. He then was charged with larceny in '76 after stealing a chainsaw. He pleaded guilty and didn't serve any time, but the court did require him to receive psychiatric treatment for his bipolar. Now, we're going to get into his crimes and his victims, and some aren't proven, but they are suspected that he committed them. So, over the next few years, a lot of women went missing or were found murdered, and they're all suspected to be his victims. The first one to go missing was 18-year-old Celia Beth Van Zanten, who was on her way to the supermarket the night of December 22nd, 1971, but she never made it. Witnesses remember seeing her walking around 8:45 in the direction of the store, but no one could recall seeing her after that. She was reported missing 2 days later, and on December 25th, her body was found in the Chua State Park. Her chest was cut with a knife, and she had been bound and sexually assaulted. Forensics shows she was still alive when she was hidden in a deep ravine due to the evidence that she had tried to climb out, but her bindings made it impossible. She died from exposure. Robert denied killing her, but he did have a map that they found an X where her body was found. 17-year-old Megan Emmerich disappeared on July 7th, 1973 in Seward, Alaska. She was last seen in the dorm laundry room at her school. Her roommates found all of her belongings in their dorm and spent 3 days looking for her before reporting her as missing. She was never seen again. It's believed that Robert killed her, but he has denied it, though he did admit he was in the area the day she went missing. Again, his map had an X on the area where she went missing, which is why authorities believe he was involved. Allegedly, he told another inmate that he had taken Megan to a cabin that can only be reached by boat, where he killed and buried her. 22-year-old Mary Kathleen Thill disappeared on July 5th, 1975. She was last seen around 2 p.m. going to a bakery in town. Again, Robert said he was in the area the day she vanished, but denied having anything to do with it, even though there was another X on his map of the area. It's alleged he told another inmate he killed her and disposed of her body in Resurrection Bay. On July 21st, 1980, the remains of a woman were found buried in a shallow grave near South Ekalutna, I hope I'm saying that right, Lake Road. Most of her had been consumed by animals in the area. She was named Ekalutna Annie since she was unidentified. Robert did admit to killing her, saying he stabbed her in the back when she tried to escape from his car. He said she was his first murder victim. He thought she was from Kodiak, Alaska, but troopers are led to believe that she was actually from California. Joanne Messina, who was 24, went out to dinner with Robert on May 19, 1980. Robert claimed that after dinner, she offered him sex in exchange for money. He refused to pay her and drove her to a secluded area near Snow River. He then hit her with a .22 revolver before shooting her twice. He put her in a gravel pit and covered her with more gravel before throwing her belongings in the woods. He threw the gun into the river. Her remains weren't found until July 8th. 24-year-old Roxanne Eastland disappeared on June 28th. She had left her motel room to meet someone downtown, but was never seen again. Robert admitted to killing her, but her remains have never been found. Lisa Futrell was 41. She had left her shift at the nightclub in Anchorage on September 6, but when she didn't show up for the next day's shift, her boss called her roommates looking for her. They hadn't heard from her either and reported her as missing. Her body was found May 9, 1984, in a gravel pit near Nick Arm Bridge. Sherry Morrow was a 23-year-old dancer. On November 17, 1981, she told her friends she was meeting with a photographer who told her he'd pay her $300 for topless photos. She was never heard from again after that day. On September 12, 1982, hunters near the Nick River discovered a body found to be Sherry's. She had been shot 3 times in the back before being buried. It was discovered that she had been redressed before being buried due to her clothing not having any bullet holes. Andrea Mona Altieri, who was nicknamed Fish, was 24 years old when she went missing on December 2, 1981. She was on her way to Boniface Mall to meet with a photographer. Robert claims after meeting her, he threatened her with a gun and abducted her. He drove them to a service road where he sexually assaulted her. When she fought back, he shot her. He tied a duffel bag around her legs that he had filled with gravel and threw her body into the river. He took her fish necklace as a trophy, where police later found it in his house. Sue Luna was a 23-year-old dancer. On May 26, 1982, she was going to meet a customer from the club she worked at to do a photo shoot. When no one heard from her the next day, she was reported as missing. Robert said he took her to the woods where he made her strip naked before telling her to run while he hunted her. Her body was found on April 24, 1984. She had been shot to death. Skeletal remains were discovered on April 25, 1984 in Palmer, Alaska. She had been stabbed and shot. For many years, she was unidentified and became known as Horseshoe Harriet due to being found near Horseshoe Lake. It wasn't until October of 2021 that they were able to identify her through forensic genealogy. She was 19 years old. Her name was Robin Pelkey and had disappeared on July 19th in 1983. Daleen Renee Frey, who was called Sugar, was 22 when she disappeared. No one had seen her since March of 1983. Her body was found by a pilot on August 20th, 1985. She was buried as a Jane Doe until 1989 when a state trooper saw the case file and recognized her jewelry. 30-year-old Paula Golding went with Robert on April 25th, 1983. He took them to a remote spot where he threatened her with a gun. Paula tried to get away, but Robert shot her. Her body was found on September 2nd of 1983 in a shallow grave by the river. Her clothing had no damage, leading authorities believe she was redressed after being shot. Cindy Paulson was 17 when Robert kidnapped her on June 13, 1983. He took her back to his house where he sexually assaulted her. He then drove her to Merrill Field where he stored his plane. While loading supplies into the plane, Cindy took her chance and ran for help. She was able to flag down a passing car that stopped and took her to a safe location before calling the police. Back at Merrill Field, a security guard noticed Robert being suspicious. He didn't approach him, but he did note the license plate of his car. 28-year-old Malay Larson was reported missing on July 10, 1981. Her body was found on April 24, 1984, near the Nick Arm River. On March 25, 1983, 22-year-old Teresa Watson told her roommate she was going to meet a man that was giving her $300 for an hour of her company. Robert killed her at a scenic lake with the plan to bury her there. However, due to the time of year, the ground was still frozen, so instead he just left her. She was found on April 26 of 1984. 24-year-old Angela Lynn Fittern was last seen in February of 1983. She wasn't reported missing until May. Robert had kidnapped and murdered her. Her remains were found by Figure 8 Lake on April 26 of 1984. Tamara Pedersen, who went by Tammy, was 20 when she disappeared. Her parents had spoken to her over the phone on August 7, 1982. She had been killed by Robert. He confessed to killing her and told police where they could find the body. She was recovered on April 29th in 1984, near the Old Nick River. On October 27, 1983, authorities got a warrant to search Robert's plane, car, and home. He happened to fit the description of the FBI profile, and they had the testimony from Cindy Paulson, the survivor. During the search, they discovered jewelry that belonged to the women. In his attic, they also found the guns that were used to kill them. They also found his map that he had placed X's on the location where the women's bodies were found. When police told Robert what they found, he denied having anything to do with their deaths. But eventually, he did admit to killing them, but tried to blame the women for his actions. He told them he started killing women back in 1971. He was charged with assault, multiple weapons offenses, theft, and insurance fraud. He got a plea bargain and only pled guilty to 4 homicides. In exchange, he told them where they could find the other bodies. He was sentenced to 461 years in prison without the possibility of parole. He was sent to a penitentiary in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. In 1988, they brought him back to Alaska to serve his sentence at Spring Creek Correctional Center. Robert died on August 21st, 2014 from natural causes related to health conditions. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the podcast, please like and share it with your friends. Stay safe, and I'll be talking to you next week.